I spent the last few weeks organizing my thoughts on itemization. I challenged my old beliefs and cooked up some new takes. In this video, I'll be sharing my findings and teach you how to itemize as a Soraka one-trick, including some creative cooks to handle difficult drafts. Moonstone is never bad, but there are some situations where you can squeeze some more power out of other first items. Staff of Flowing Water gives a blasting wand to your carry when you heal them, which is an insane amount of stats, especially in the early game. I recommend it when you have one of these ADCs and a jungler who can use the AP as well. We also have to talk about Mejais. Limiting the enemy's ability to outplay you is mega broken, especially in high elo. But unlike Gragas's knockup, Leona and Lissandra can be itemized against with Mejais. Unlocking the ability to screw up their plan and outplay them is very valuable. So against these two champs, you can rush Mejais if you are good enough to use it well. But getting meaningful value out of Mejais takes skill and experience, so I would only recommend Mejais Rush for high elo. And lastly, we have Redemption. When you struggle to show up to plays on time because you have loser's tempo, Redemption can be a nice way to still impact out of reach skirmishes. But if you can play the game at all, Moonstone is better. You should get a Ruby Crystal if there's any chance of an all-in happening in bot lane. And you can prioritize an Amp Tome when both you and the enemy just want to farm. Let's look at a challenger Soraka player for some examples. Lux and Soraka against Mel and Karma. There's no way we ever kill them, and they can't kill us either. Amp Tome angle. Seraphine and Soraka against Mel and Rel. While we just want to farm, Rel is looking to engage on us and Mel has decent follow-up. Ruby Crystal angle. Soraka and MF against Nami and Aphelios. If this was low elo, I would buy a Ruby Crystal, because low elos are easy to bait into losing fights, but since this lobby has a challenger in it, you can be pretty sure that nobody is going to die in a 2v2 in bot lane. This is why Amp Tome is kind of just a high elo thing. Lucian and Braum is what I like to call a Hitler lane. All it takes is one misstep for you to die. Definitely a Ruby Crystal angle, so you can hopefully survive their combo if they catch you. Now let's discuss a super slept on item. Refillable pot. That's 200 health for 150 gold. But since you can sell it for 60, it really only costs 90 gold. Refillable pot is so OP. If you don't buy it, you are the biggest noob. Just trust me on this one. Dark Seal is objectively always a good item if you play perfectly, but realistically I would recommend buying it if you and your ADC got the first takedown in bot lane. And never buy Glowing Moat, unless you are rushing Luci boots. Just get a control ward if you have leftover gold. And if it wasn't obvious, 2 tier 1 components are better than a Kindle Gem or Bandle Glass Mirror. Oh, yeah, I guess we have to talk about these. Merc treads are fucking trash. If you need magic resist that badly, then just buy a Negatron cloak. And if you want tenacity to deal with an Ashe Leona lane, just take it in your runes. It's a way better deal because you also get slow resist. But plated steel caps can be worth buying. There are some champions that are just really hard to avoid with positioning, and in the cases of Rengar, Shaco, and Twitch, nearly all their damage comes from auto attacks. But I would only buy steel caps if they are fed enough to be a problem. Swifties can be very fun. Look at this. But when we compare one-tricks to tourists, it seems like one-tricks almost universally prefer Luci boots. And while Swifties have a decent pick rate and higher win rate on stats websites, that might just be because tourists only pick Soraka in good drafts. I personally prefer Luci boots, but I build Swifties against the occasional Riley's abuser, like Cassiopeia and Brand. For your second item, you probably want Moonstone if you didn't buy it as your first item. If you already have Moonstone, you should ask yourself if you can play the game. If you can play normally and nothing is severely cucking you, you can just buy Redemption or Mejais, but only buy Mejais if it'll actually make a big difference. But if you can't play the game, we can look into some creative solutions. Tired of Blitzcrank forcing you to play around him, potentially hooking you over walls? No problem. Verdant Barrier lets you move much more freely. Karthus keeps forcing you to recall by taking half your health with his ult, and he wasn't even using it for you. No problem. Verdant Barrier lets you stay on the map. Your team won't ping themselves when Nocturne ults them because they are bad. No problem. With Verdant Barrier you can see it and ping for them, and you can time your ult to get the extra healing. You get the idea. Verdant Barrier is very useful if you know when to buy it, and when not to. It's not a perfect solution to all your problems. If the enemy layers their spells, you can still get caught. And the spell shield can get popped by stupid stuff like a Luden's proc or some long-range ability. But in the right situation, Verdant Barrier feels like a cheat code. And while it has some magic resist, that's not really the point of it. We have Negatron Cloak as an option for dealing with fed AP characters shoving their needlessly large rods down your throat. It's way more cost efficient at protecting you from magic damage. Let's say you have around 1.9k health, like I do in this clip. That 45 magic resist is adding up to over 850 health against magic damage. That's basically 5 ruby crystals for the price of 2. Negatron Cloak is most effective against fed AP champs that dive into your team like Vladimir, or assassins who try to one-shot you. But there are limits to what a Negatron Cloak can do for you. If the enemy is this fed, then only Jesus can save you. And as a second item, you'd be surprised at how affordable Zonias can be. Sure, 1,200 gold is a lot, but I base with that much gold all the time. Because in high elo, if you recall you basically force your entire team to recall with you. So as long as I have health, and my team is pressuring, I'll just stay on the map until we stop pressuring or have to go set up for an objective. Zonias is a perfectly valid way to deal with certain divers, and don't underestimate how much the AP on both this item and Verdant Barrier increases your healing. And for our last creative solution, we have Locket. It's very effective against Brand and both AP and AD Twitch, because they do so much AoE damage that you can be sure the shield gets consumed on everyone you apply it to, and it doesn't get reduced by healing reduction. And the shield gets amplified by Moonstone and our heal and shield power. With all of these tools in your arsenal, you are equipped to handle even the worst drafts as a one-trick. And now let's get into third items. You can get any of the previously mentioned items depending on the situation and your budget, but in most games you won't be able to afford a full third item before the game ends, and you'll also only have bag space for one component, so getting the most out of that inventory slot is very valuable. And that's why Dawncore and Staff of Flowing Water are great third items. They both have 850 gold AP components, which is more than twice as much healing increase as a Forbidden Idol. I recommend Staff of Flowing Water and Fiendish Codex if you are using your W a lot, and Dawncore and Blasting Wand if you pretty much just ult and the fight is over. But there is one secret tech that can single-handedly carry the game, and scales with your skill and IQ. And since everybody who watches this channel is Challenger in their heart and holds immense a membership, you should pay extra attention to this. Watch how I bait 2 very important ultimates on myself, right as Baron is about to be contested. We won that game as soon as Mejais and Olaf pressed R on me. Without those abilities, the enemy team had no chance to contest us on Baron. If you passed up on this idea because you think it's a meme, you are seriously missing out. This 1.6k LP Challenger buys it all the time. The goal isn't to upgrade it to a Zonias, it's to get one game-changing use out of the active effect and end the game. For support item I just follow this flowchart. It's not rocket surgery. You can often skip Celestial Opposition by just playing better, so don't fall into the trap of buying it every game just because you die a lot. Get better. For Trinket, everyone is sleeping on Farsight Alteration. When you have nobody to face check for you, it lets you safely check so you can walk up to get some wards out before an objective. Even just randomly spotting someone can give you enough information to know you can safely do something, like these seemingly super risky deep wards. And if I didn't place this ward for Cassandra, he would not be able to touch mid-wave since he is alone and the enemy team are all missing. You should still use Sweeper if you are stomping the enemy and have map control, but I use Farsight Alteration almost every game ever since Coach Caracal told me to try it. And make sure your jungler has Oracle before you swap, he can sweep when it's needed. I don't really have much logic on when to buy Mejais. Sometimes you just end up fisting the enemy. And then when you recall and you have enough gold for it, you just say fuck it, we ball and buy it. And buying it as a first item is basically like spitting in the face of the enemy. You are telling them you have zero respect for them and that you will continue to fist them until they surrender. First, second, third item, it doesn't matter. If the moment calls for it, just send it. If you watch this far, you must have liked it, so why don't you subscribe for more content like this? Until next time. Bye.